We're all here. We're going to begin with this. President Trump is considering a radical change to American immigration law just ahead of the midterm elections. In an interview with Axios website, the president said he wants to end birthright citizenship, which is guaranteed under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution.
Now, how ridiculous. We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has to end.
Have you talked about that with counsel?
Yeah, I have.
So where in the process?
It's in the process. It'll happen. With an executive order. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
that's
it's exactly
very interesting.
what I'm talking about.
I didn't think anybody knew that but me. I thought I was the only one.
According to PolitiFact, 33 countries offer birthright citizenship. Jim VandeHei, CEO and co-founder of Axios, was part of that interview with the president for the upcoming Axios on HBO. He's with us from Washington. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, John. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. So there's an election a week away, and the president is talking about this. Is this a serious policy proposal by the president, or is this something he'd like to get in a big constitutional debate about for a week to keep the focus on a topic that he thinks works for him politically?
Right. I think it's something he wants to do. He clearly was surprised in the interview that Swan's reporting had figured out that he'd been talking to White House counsel about this. I think politically he wants to keep all of the emphasis on sending troops to the border to guard against this caravan that's probably several months away from hitting our border. And so this one, he's been talking to, he says, legal scholars internally. They say that he can get away with it. We have a 14th Amendment, which basically it states pretty clearly that if you're born here on U.S. soil, you are a U.S. citizen. And he says, I don't even need to go to Congress to change this. I can use my executive power to do it. I think it's a pretty legally dubious claim, but he says, no, I've got people that say I can. And by the way, he has stacked the courts with a lot of conservatives, and I think some of his confidence might come from that. And the thing with Trump, you never know. Is this an idea that's been floating around in his head and he'll actually act on it at some point? I would say when it comes to immigration, he does feel, he believes this stuff, even when everyone else says you can't do that, you shouldn't do that. No other president would do that. He still does it.
Well, Jim went back and looked, and actually in August 2015, when the president rolled out his immigration policy, in fact, he said he would do that. He wanted to end birthright citizenship. So this has been part of his plan on immigration for the very beginning. Arguably, it was all there for voters to see at the time. But to John's point, if it's been part of his plan for the whole time, why is he just bringing it up now, 1 week before the election? He hasn't been able to do it.
Yeah, again, like we had done reporting before we did this interview for the HBO show that we're doing on Sunday, and we had heard that he had talked to White House counsel about this. So I don't think they had planned on springing it before the election. I do think they want to do a ton on immigration. I do think that they want to send a bunch of troops to the border. I mean, think about it. We're sending 5,000 troops to the border. We already have, 2,000 National Guard. We already have border control. We already have walls and fences and electronic devices, and yet he's very fearful about a caravan that looks like it's a month or two away. By the time it hits our border, it could be 20 people, it could be a couple 100 people. And politically, I think he thinks that's a winner. And by the way, even on that one, I think he legitimately fears the illegal immigrants coming in through this caravan. Like, he watches Fox News. Fox News plays it over and over. They kind of play off of each other. They get each other riled up. And then what seems like propaganda or seems like politics becomes reality in the minds of a lot of voters.
Did you get the opportunity to, what was the length of the interview? I wonder if you got any opportunity to sort of challenge the president on some of the rhetoric that he's used, specifically using the word invader, which is also a word that the Pittsburgh shooter used.
Yeah, we had, we'll probably air the clip over the weekend, had a very, very, very tense exchange about that very topic with the president. And it was interesting, not to overshare on it, like it's almost the more confrontational you got on the language that he uses, the more at ease he is. It's like he wants confrontation. He honestly believes, I walked away from that interview, he honestly believes that he has no responsibility to calm things down, to cool the country. And in fact, he argues the opposite. He argues that he has a responsibility to his people. He always uses that term, to my people, to turn things up, because he feels like he's at war with the media. Despite winning the presidency, despite having the same favorable ratings he had 2 years ago, he feels at war.
He's at ease as the country is on edge. Jim VandeHei, thank you. This breaking news.
Thank you.